Director of Admissions. I'm actually a regional representative, so I'm based in Texas. And should you apply to Pitt, I would be one of those individuals, probably the first read on your application, and I'll get into that sort of later on in this process. But just delighted to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Tom. Jason Fletcher, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name is Jason Fletcher, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Director of Undergraduate Recruitment. And so I don't have a specific territory, but I work with all of our admissions counselors, do read through applications as well. And so excited to be here to be able to share with you guys kind of some of the changes as much as possible.
Thanks, Jason. And then we have another Jason Peacock.
Hi, I'm Jason Peacock, admissions counselor at the University of North Texas. Office normally in the Welcome Center, so usually I get to welcome guests and their families onto campus, but always like an opportunity to chat with students where they are as well.
Thank you, Jason. And lastly, I'd love an opportunity for Sonia Nihalani to introduce herself. Sonia is our intern for Impact Hub Houston, and this whole thing was her idea. Sonia?
Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to have the opportunity to be here today and maybe help share some insight with my peers on the upcoming changes to the college admissions process in light of COVID-19. So I'm really excited and blessed to have the opportunity.
Thanks, Sonia. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you, Sonia, so you can go ahead and begin with the panel discussion portion of this event.
Okay, thank you. So my first question is, how is your university planning to handle accepting scores such as the ACT or SAT for the 2021 class of admissions?
I'll go ahead and go first. For fall of 2021, we have not, at least the University of North Texas, has not made any changes to admissions requirements for that semester. Now we have certainly moved quite a bit of, quite a few files through the admissions process without test scores this year because of the situation. But we have not made any changes to our admissions processes or policies through the Board of Regents. So those requirements are still in effect for fall. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be amendments made to scholarship deadlines and admissions deadlines for fall of 2021. But my recommendation is a lot of at least financial aid and scholarships are given on a first come, first served basis, particularly at state school institutions. So still being able to get test scores into us as soon as possible. If you're a rising senior and get that application in early, we'll still put you at the forefront of being awarded those funds when we start giving them out. But at this point, no official changes have taken place at my institution.
You know, I can go next. The University of Pittsburgh actually has 5 campuses, and at 4 of those campuses, we would call them our regional campuses, they are going to go test optional for this current class, next year's class, and possibly the class after that. The campus that I primarily work with at the University of Pittsburgh campus, we're remaining at this point, the tests are part of our process. That being said, I think that even before the pandemic, there was very much a trend within higher education to de-emphasize test scores. And we've seen that for quite some time. And I think Jason's absolutely right in what I'm trying to say is that you put a lot of emphasis on that, and actually behind the scenes, it's been being de-emphasized for quite some time. And you do need to be flexible. You do need to be flexible and listen to the colleges and universities, because this is a very fluid situation. We are absolutely talking about that concept, but have not made a decision yet, just like UNT.
So at Houston Baptist, we have decided for fall 20 and for fall 2021 to move to a test optional opportunity for students. And so what that means is there's just other things that you want to be able to prepare. So what I tell students now, even for our fall 2020 applicants and for fall 2021, is to provide additional things. So whether it's a recommendation letter, an essay, or just other things that really will help support your application. That's going to be really important as we start to review those. Again, you guys will start you hear campuses and colleges say holistic, and that's really what it comes down to, is to be able to have different pieces of your application that you're submitting to really strengthen you as an applicant on paper. And so we're looking forward to seeing how this rolls out and what this is going to look like and how it's going to change our applicant pool, and maybe we'll be able to see different students that we normally were able to see, just because we were looking at test scores. So we're excited to kind of welcome this change and see how see what it does, and it could be the potential that we're actually move to a test optional policy in general. So we're going to be utilizing this year to really kind of see what that will do for our students and for our families as they're kind of preparing and kind of getting through this pandemic.
I think in general, admissions counselors around the nation do not get into this business to deny students. We get into this business to admit students, and we're finding ways to admit students to our institutions. And if you don't have a test score, or in your mind, you don't have a good test score, and that's a whole nother debate that we can have, because your idea of good and my idea of good is very different, especially in the context of other parts of your application. And so get to know your college admissions counselors at each of the schools that you're looking at, because they have the information, and it is a fluid situation. So that's what we get paid to do, talk to you about these possibilities. And so I could go on and on. I'm just going to stop now to get to other questions, but know that we want to be the helper people. We want to make sure that we give you the best possible advantages as we can, and we got to get to know you to be able to do that.
Sounds great. So the next question we have is sort of on the same subject. For that reason, has your specific university made any changes towards admitting the subject tests, which are similar to the SAT or ACT?
We don't require subject exams, so we're good on that end. So yeah, we don't need to worry about on that end.
Yeah, I think we also, same thing, Jason's given the thumbs up there as well. Yeah.
So the next question is concerning college deadlines. So will your college extend early decision or regular decision deadlines for this year?
We already have. So we, in essence, removed any late application fees that we would normally apply. But typically, we would admit students even leading up into the weeks before classes start as they were available. So we're still admitting students for fall. We're still placing them in housing for fall. And we'll likely do so as long as housing remains open and as long as we have space available on campus.
In terms of Pitt has always been a rolling admissions institution. Yet we do have some pretty important deadlines. We have a guaranteed admissions program into our medical school that has a November 1 deadline that students to start and begin and continue through that process. We have to have all of your materials in by November 1. December 15th is a scholarship deadline. Priority scholarship consideration. And so early decision, early action, those sorts of deadlines, you very much need to be talking to the individual schools that you're interested in to make sure that those deadlines currently are, I think our website says November 15th. Well, we know this cycle is going to go to November 1. Well, hold it. We're talking about this test optional, right? In the medical school, because of MCAT, the MCAT for placement into medical schools is very, very important to that process. So how does that influence this, right? And so you can't control any of these things except your ability to inform yourself and your ability to communicate with the colleges and universities that you're interested in. I think that's the third time I've said that, right? We'll probably say it a couple more times.
Yeah, I would second that. I think that one of the things I've been coaching some of my students on, especially rising seniors, is that if you haven't already done so, to be sitting in on some information sessions. A lot of institutions have virtual information sessions where you can hear what the expectations are going to be. At HBU, we sit on a rolling admission deadline as well. We encourage our students, our application opens August 1st. And so we encourage students to get their applications in as soon as possible. And again, I always tell students, early bird gets the worm, right? So submitting your application early, getting everything in on time is going to be helpful as soon as the application opens, because if that school is requiring you to submit additional documentation, and I know some institutions who are going to do test optional and they're requiring you to submit an additional essay, right? Or a graded essay. And so you need to be prepared to have all of those things in line. And waiting to the last minute to submit those is probably not the best option, but getting things in, making sure that you have first priority, that you're connecting with your admissions counselor. They are going to be your advocate throughout the process. So doing things early is going to be super, super important. I tell students all the time, do it early, do it early, do it early, so you don't feel like you're scrambling and you have more options and not enough, especially when it comes to scholarships and when and how you get admitted to an individual institution.
And I just would have to add, remove the word deadline from your vocabulary. Ask, when do applications open, not when do they close. Being proactive is going to do you wonders as you're progressing through the process.
Well said, Jason.
Okay, so the next question is that in light of the new circumstances, many students have lost the opportunity to do things such as get internships or maybe pursue activities that they would have done if they had the capability to do so. So what's your advice to students who lost the opportunity to build their resume and are now sitting at home?
Okay, so I'm pretty passionate about this one. It only because it gives you an opportunity to do things and think outside the box. I had one of my students who is just really passionate about what's going on in his neighborhood and his community, and so he decided with a group of friends to help deliver groceries to the elderly individuals in his neighborhood. And so he kind of created a way for them. He developed an app. Don't ask me how he did it. He just did it. He developed an app. He was like, hey, all you do is log on here. My friends and I will go. We'll pick up your groceries. We'll drop them off. We'll clean them off. And so my thought when I tell students is, what you normally thought you would do, something that was set up for you to do this internship, you might not be able to do that, but there are other needs that are available and that are out there. And even though there are areas, that are shut down, there are also areas where they're really helping people who are in need. And so it's asking around, whether it's your church or it's another organization, how can I help throughout this crisis? Because that helps the college, helps your resume, saying like you're thinking outside of yourself and helping during COVID-19, or instead of just being stuck in the house and thinking, oh, I can't do this one internship. But it's like, I've created a way for me to give back. I've created a way for me to add substance and value, not only to myself, but also to my community. So it might be something where you're picking up the phone and you're calling people. And I have one of my students who is, volunteering with his church, and he's just calling people and checking in with them, seeing what they need, and then helping address that need and connecting them with different resources. So there is a way to still get things done, and still, it may not be formal where you're working with an organization or you're working with, a company, but it's something that you created on your own. And that, I think, speaks volumes of the type of person that you are and what you could potentially bring to a college campus.
And I would disagree with one thing that Jason said, and he called it a crisis. And really, this is an opportunity. The world has changed. And so being able to bring some additional change to this changing world, it's going to be different than what it's looked like before. So I think it's a unique opportunity for students to truly stamp out their place. And like Jason was saying, really do something new and special, which is going to be even more beneficial than doing what we've seen students do every summer before.
And
Agreed.
Yeah, I'd also say that there are some pretty extraordinary things that you're doing that you don't even realize it. It's just part of who you are. You're helping your brother or your sister with their schoolwork. You're maybe discovering more of a yard and discovered that, hey, I want to go into horticulture. Or you're picking up an instrument that you've never had the time to do. Or maybe you go to Duolingo and try a language and discover that I really have a gift here. Or, you know what? Nope, not me. And those things can be really powerful within an essay. Yeah, you do have a gift. You do have a gift here, but sit back and think about it. You know, if all you're doing is sitting and gaming, you may not have a whole lot of depth there. But
We offered $20,000 in scholarships
yeah. So there, maybe it will work, right? You don't know. But don't just sit around sort of moping around, right? Get yourself up, dust yourself off, help out with the family, have some empathy. There's a lot of genuineness that you can find in this opportunity. I was on a call earlier with executive director of an organization, and they were saying, oh, we can't, all of these COVID questions are going to be coming in and answers for essays. And he was kind of, and I was kind of like, yeah, this is exciting because your students have a time to reflect more so than you've ever had. And that can be daunting and it can be an opportunity. I hope you take it as an opportunity.
I'd like to add one more thing on that too, Sonia, before your next question. But first of all, I've heard a few other individuals say the same exact thing. This is an opportunity. We are building what the new normal that we want to see is going to look like. And I mean, just like Sonia did this for how to reinvent her internship to being something remote, it's an opportunity that all the students have. Honestly, like independent of your location, as long as you have access to internet or a computer or a phone or whatever else might be, you really do have that resource. And for example, through Impact Hub Houston, a lot of the work that we do is around problem solving, and specifically around problem solving around the Sustainable Development Goals. And so all you really have to do is think about, what are you truly passionate about? Even if it's in a problem that's happening on your street or in your neighborhood, and there's opportunity there for you to collaborate with your other students who are at home bored, your friends, and figure out, well, what can we do to change that with the access that you do have? So yeah, there's definitely something there, totally echoing what the three of you just shared.
Sounds great. I think I've also heard that a lot from different people, that this is rather an opportunity to expand on yourself, moreover than as a time that we should be sitting at home and not doing anything. So the next question is that with the new AP format, will your university retain the same standards as previous years to obtain credit?
Yeah, nothing has changed. I think that some of that is the flexibility that we're trying to have with students, being able to reward you as much as we can. I will sort of put a caveat on that a little bit, is that I think for orientation classes and meeting with your academic advisor, I think they're going to have some more really specific discussions with you about, hey, are you ready for that next class that you tested out of? You scored great. But you know, if you're going pre-med and you've out of your chemistry class and your first chemistry class is organic chemistry at the college level, you know, maybe, and then you get a C in that class, and that's an important class for medical school, your advisor's probably going to say, yeah, you did well, but let's have you get an A in that. Let's have you be a tutor in that, because that's a foundational class that then when you get to that next class, you're going to be truly, truly ready for it, and you're going to be adjusted. Ultimately, though, it's going to be the student's decision. You get to make that decision, and that's the power of going to college. You're not just placed. You get to choose the classes you take, and so that's what I've seen. Most colleges are trying to be as flexible as they can with APs and giving students credit. But the students do have to take the test, and they do have to score at certain levels to get that credit still.
Same, absolutely same. No changes really for students at this point when it comes to AP credit. So
one thing I would like to say about AP and dual credit, though, is I would say, regardless of if you get credit for it or not, the rigor associated with the course is going to prepare you better for college courses. Then it is nice that you have the opportunity of getting college credit, but it's also important to note that you're taking the course for high school graduation, not necessarily college graduation. And so that is one caveat, is just because you're getting credit for courses doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the right credit for the degree program you go into. So I always provide that caveat with dual credit or AP.
Yeah. And I'm going to go off on a tangent because I get this question all the time from families and students. Should I take the AP class or should I take the dual credit class? I don't think any college admissions counselor in the nation can answer that question. Well, maybe they will, but my question is always back to you to be able to say, which is the most rigorous? Which one is going to prepare you the most to going to the next level? Because sometimes that dual credit class is absolutely awesome. Sometimes that AP class, ooh, the content's there, but it's just not, it's not you, right? And so you know that more than we do. But if you have the option, I would say take the one that is going to prepare you most. And you know your teachers, you know the content of what your peers have gone through. And you can probably make a pretty good choice there.
well said.
As a state school guy, I would say community college, we're required to accept it. But then again, as Tom mentioned, just because you can get credit for a class doesn't mean you should take credit for the class.
Right, that sounds great. So the next question is, in your personal opinion, is it a good idea to center the focus of our essays on COVID-19, for instance, through like the Common App or Applied Texas or things like that?
I would say that if COVID-19 has had an impact of some sort on your family, on your situation, or something that you've done where you're like, hey, I've had an opportunity to really invest in or create, and that has to do with COVID-19, absolutely. I really want students to talk about something that's very, very much personal to who they are in their essay, very much that is kind of showing that they've grown out of something, and have taken an opportunity to something that could be, that is a crisis, quote unquote, and then turned it into something to an opportunity, right? So I want to be able to see some growth within that essay, growth within that individual, versus them saying like, hey, COVID-19 did this to my family, and then, you know, we're just like still trying to recover, and it's not something that is giving them a reason why you would be really impactful on campus. So that's what I would say for me personally. Like I'm looking to see still growth. So whether you write an essay on COVID-19 or you write it on missing out on an activity, I want to see that there's some growth that's happening within your essay, within you, that really is telling of who you are as a person, and can give me some more insight into who you are.
And as the others, if others have anything to add to that, would you say it's the same for any situation of this like magnitude when you're choosing to write about something? What type of perspective should you be taking? And what are you really looking to see when someone's describing a situation like this in their essays?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of COVID, I think all of you, everyone's sort of in this situation, right? And so we understand it. And I'm going to go back to what Jason was saying. How did you grow from this? Explaining the situation itself could be, and if you can provide that context in a really short, succinct way, that's what I'm encouraged, because I kind of understand that, but there are unique situations, right? But how are you growing? When you look at this essay, know that I can see all of your grades. I can see board exams. I can see resumes. I can see letters of recommendation. How does this essay fit and tell me something different and about you as an individual, and possibly about how you are going to come to my campus and fit into this process? If you've seen a lot of panels, eventually someone will talk about this concept of fit, right? And this idea that the college search process is not a trophy to be won, but it's a match to be made, right? And that you don't know yet. That's why your list needs to be pretty broad at the beginning, because at the end, you're going to have so much more information. And these essays, the essay is your opportunity to, I can't get that anywhere else in information. And so if the COVID situation does provide an opportunity for you to show empathy, or you to show that growth, use it within that framework. But know that I'm more interested in exactly what Jason said, in the opportunity to expand who you are as a person.
I think one thing that I would add to, and granted, the essays, when we read essays at state schools, it's for a different purpose often than when essays are composed for more selective institutions. So very often those essays are part of our appeal process. So if a student is not admitted, we encourage submission of the essay so we can learn more about the student. And with coming from that perspective, give me reasons to say yes, not reasons not to say no. Be positive in your essay, because and don't make excuses. But talk about, again, how you grew from those experiences and how that semester of tough grades, well, it's not going to happen again because you did X, Y, and Z. But I would always say, always approach it from the optimistic side than trying to defend something that's on your academic record.
Sounds great. I think another big question that might be somewhat related is, what's the biggest piece of advice you can give to students applying in not just this year, I guess, in any year, when it comes to showing who they are holistically?
I would say just do things early. If you really want to enjoy your senior year and breaking out, get those applications in early, because then you can enjoy it. I have a daughter that just graduated from college, and I can remember, and I've been, I'm a dad, right? And this emotion that comes up, and I've been doing this for over 25 years, the gray hair is here and it is real. And I can remember her just on the floor like a 4-year-old throwing a temper tantrum because she had to do one more essay, and it was November and she was getting close to midterms and things were just stacking up, right? And so senior year is going to be busy. And so if you can get some things done early, those essay questions, those essay prompts are going to be out there this summer. All of us are going to put them out there, common application essays. I know that they've switched one to a COVID question. You can go out and absolutely control those sorts of methods. And if you can do things early, I think you'll actually, again, be able to enjoy the senior year a little bit more.
Yeah, I would agree. I think before I was in this role as a college counselor and an advisor, so I tell students, and just a word of advice, like, let's go ahead and create your college portfolios. If you're a junior and you're trying to figure things out, your college portfolio is really everything you need to be able to apply to college. So your resume, knowing who your recommenders are going to be early on, and asking them early on and providing them with, and it's always good to, have a $5 Starbucks card or $10 Starbucks card available for them, right? So identify who your recommenders are going to be. And I would agree with Tom, you need to work on your essays ahead of time is huge, because that is the area that students typically either say, I'm not going to do this too hard, I'm not going to apply if they have an essay. But it's the area where you get to control the most. So why not take the opportunity to start working on it early? When you put your portfolio together, particularly when you're in your junior year, going through the summer as a senior, as I like to call you guys, the seniors, and then just moving into your senior year, you have everything compiled. That way, you know exactly what you need to do. You're applying early, you're submitting all your documentation early, and you're also reaching out to your counselors early, because remember, everyone's going through this situation right now, and they have a whole huge workload that they're working on as well. So if you're able to get back in school and talk to your counselor in August and September and set deadlines for them and say, hey, I really need this to be done by this time. I'm giving you a month. I'm giving you 6 weeks. Is it possible so we can make sure this happens? It's kind of taking this is taking control of your journey in college. And I always tell students, you are in the driver's seat if we were driving a car, and everybody else, including your admissions counselor, your college counselor, your parents, are passengers, and you're the one that's supposed to be driving it. So it's putting together everything you need, figuring out what you need for each individual college. But most of us have some of the similar things that you need. But I think what trips students up is the essay, and they wait till the last minute to try to do it. And I guarantee you, and I'm sure Tom and Jason will tell you, that we know an essay that was thrown together. Like, we can read it, we know it, it's.
But I thought we were trying to hide it so well.
And we know that you're like, hey, I submitted this last night, and you're good to go. But just prepping yourself and getting things done early. Set a deadline for yourself and say, I'm going to be done with all my college applications by this date. So then that way you know that you have to set a timeline in place and say, I'm going to get my transcripts this time. I'm going to make sure my SAT scores are sent during this time. My recommendations are going to be done at this time. And now I'm done. And now all I have to do is worry about my financial aid and applying for scholarships.
I would say, don't stress about getting into college. I think that's one thing students worry far too much about, is getting into college. And that's the easy part. It may not seem like the easy part now. Paying for college is harder, and getting through college once you started college is more difficult. So there are a lot of things that you're going to need to be aware about. But the college search process, that's the fun part of this process, is getting to explore campuses, getting to meet students at those schools, learning about the community, learning about the environment, learning about the history and traditions. That's really the fun part of the college search process. So again, like Tom said earlier, finding that fit, getting onto a campus is paramount. There is, regardless of all the materials that we mail to students, all of the online videos you can watch, ultimately those are just marketing pieces. And ultimately, you planting your feet on campus and looking at the campus move between periods and going off campus and getting the best burger off campus, those are the integral parts, I think, of the college search process, and really helping finding not what school can I get into, but what school is going to provide me the academic program that's going to best suit me for when I graduate. which school is going to provide me the best financial aid and scholarship opportunities to ensure I have a low loan responsibility when I graduate, which one's going to provide me unique professional opportunities to tie me to career options when you graduate. So really, the getting in part, I think students worry way too much about, and focusing on these steps, these components are really going to be what is going to help you find that perfect match. Because getting in is easy, but that's not the goal. The goal is not to get you into college, it's to get you to walk across that stage in 4 years with a degree in hand with as little loan balance as possible.
Amen.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, get to know your college admissions counselor at each of the schools that you're applying to. When you apply, you are not saying you're going to that school. You're just saying, I'm interested. And so do not be afraid to push that submit button. So I can keep talking.
We're not scary, I promise. We're not.
Sonia, did you have anything else for our speakers?
No, I think I pretty much got all my questions answered, and the ones that I'm pretty sure that everyone else in my age group has right now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. With that, we have room for one more question from the audience. Jose or Brenda, if either of you have a question, let me just unmute you and you can go ahead and ask that now.
I do have a question, but I'll let Brenda ask if she has one. I'll give you 4 seconds if you don't hear from me.
I think you can go ahead.
Okay, cool. Well, first of all, I want to introduce myself. So my name is Jose Avalos. I'm the president of Creative Vida, and I want to thank you guys for joining us. Y'all are obviously very passionate about recruiting, and I forgot who said it, but you guys, I've been taking notes. You guys said we didn't get into this business to deny students. We got into the business to accept them. Super cool. Jason Peacock, your beard is epic, and you have an epic last name, so that was really cool to see that. Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
I didn't really have the beard before quarantine. This is all, I just had a big mustache, but I will say the longer I've been at home, the more homeless I look.
Well, I did a quarantine beard, but it's nowhere near as long as yours. Anyways, I have you can either answer A or B because Michelle told me not to ask 2 questions to keep it short. But A is I'd love to hear you, and this is what we tell some students sometimes. Like, I'd love to hear from your point of view. What did a student look like that thought out of the box and they had a crazy application that you were like, heck yeah, like we have to accept you? And what did a student that you were like, heck no, like there's no way we're going to take you, this sucks, like this? Because I want the students to know, okay, if those are the reasons why they didn't accept me and I have some of those reasons, then I definitely need to change this and not showcase that. B, you can either choose to answer B. Right now there's a lot of talk about, do I want to go to college if this stuff continues to make us go online? There's a lot of concern. I've been keeping up with several articles, and this is like nationwide and global, especially with international students, that they're like, I'm not going to pay that much money. I don't get financial aid. And if it's going to be a bunch of Zoom calls, like I may just take a semester off or a year off. But obviously they're going to be missing out on a lot of stuff. So I want to hear just your thoughts. I don't think there's an answer for it right now, but I'd like to hear either A or B.
My vote's on B. I'm really interested to hear y'all answer B.
Here's my take on B. If students do a gap year, what are you going to be doing? How are you going to enhance yourself? Because you're probably going to have to apply again. Spot may not be saved for you. And how are you influencing and gaining a better perspective? You're still, if you're doing those online, you're starting to build community. All of us, I think all 3 institutions that you have on the line today, we are built as traditional residence hall, community engagement sort of institutions. That's really magical at our places. We're doing this out of necessity. And this is going to end. This is going to end. And so even in those online classes and those online activities, you're going to be building community. It's different. It's not what we want, but you're going to build those communities, and then you're going to come to campus, and then you're going to be even more prepared to take advantage of our places, because you've connected to faculty, you've connected to staff, you've connected to others in your class that are literally from at Pitt, from around the nation and around the world. And so, yeah, is it what you thought it was going to be? No, but I also think that there's some pretty cool and innovative faculty members doing some pretty amazing work. This is not high school classes. It's different. It's different, and I think you'll be surprised at the quality of the instruction. But we'll get you there. But it may take a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same. And I said, and what I sometimes tell students, and what we've kind of been having conversations internally, is there are students who come to campus and don't do anything, and don't go to class and don't take advantage of the opportunities. And so I struggle, because I'm like, you're gonna get out of it what you put into it. So whether you're gonna be online or you're gonna be in person, you could still be the same person that goes to class and you're like, oh, now I'm on campus, feels great, and not raise your hand, not participate, not do anything on campus. And then I'm saying, oh, well, we're going to be online. You're like, oh, that's terrible. Like, I don't want to be online because I'm not going to get the same education. It's like, well, you are really, when you step into a college environment, I mean, if you start putting in, your college experience might be different from your roommate who is doing nothing, and you might decide to take advantage of everything. And so I try to remind students that it's really what you make of it. We want, obviously, to have you guys on campus, but it's going to look different. And we all have to realize this is sometimes our new normal. This is week 8, I think, doing work from home. And so this is really different for me. I prefer to be in the office and be able to interact with students. But because I'm not able to do that, that doesn't decrease the amount of contact I'm going to have with students just because I have to do this online. Right. So I think that students really be thinking about, if I'm going to take a gap year, to Tom's point, what am I doing with my life for a year? Am I sitting around doing nothing? Am I going to have a job? Am I learning anything? And then be like, what, if you've chosen to go to that school, or you're saying, hey, I really love this school. I picked this school for a reason before COVID-19, and I'm going to continue to go on this journey, and I'm going to take it day by day. And I'm just going to experience it. When I'm able to come back on campus, it's going to be even more exciting, because I've been dying to have this moment. Now I get to have it. So I just tell students, just take it day by day. But if you already chose the school because you fell in love with it pre-COVID-19, how has that changed? Right? You love the hey, the environment I get to be a part of, like that part is infused in the faculty, staff, and students who are going to be interacting with you, even if it's going to be online.
And at this point in time, with my institution, we're still intent on offering classes on campus. Now, we are going to normalize operations, but operations are not going to be normal. So we've already been talking about a lot of the things that we will be doing to try to ensure social distancing within classes, moving a lot of the large lecture hall classes entirely online, bringing in hybrid classes so students have face-to-face, but it's supplemented with online instruction. With a lot of the programs that we offer in music and art, having physical presence really is imperative in the program. So, we are operating under the intent that we will resume campus operations in a modified capacity in June, that we're going to offer some summer 2 classes in July conceivably, and we'll move students onto campus and begin courses in August. Now, that's 3 months from now, and 2 months ago, if you told me I was going to be sitting here not wearing pants talking to you guys, I wouldn't have believed it. So again, we don't know what changes will occur in the next 2 months, we can only go forward in the best way that we can now. But one thing that I at least have belief in is my university, I think we made all the appropriate steps. May have been a little slow on occasion, but with regards to refunds, with regards to dining plans, with regards to keeping campus open for students that had no other place to go. You know, the things that my institution did, I really take solace in knowing that they did the right thing. And I think that's one thing that students have a unique opportunity to learn about, is how schools treated students during this issue. So I think reaching out to, you know, current students that you may know that have gone on to schools that you're considering, and finding out what impact this had on them as a student would be important to know, because it could happen again in the fall.
Yeah.
That's good.
That was great. Thank you guys for that feedback. And with that, we've actually reached the end of our session. I want to give Jason, Tom, and Jason a virtual round of applause. Thank you so much. And with that, Michelle Avalos signing off here from Creative Viva. Thank you for everybody that's going to be watching the replay. If you do have any follow-up questions, please leave us a comment where Josena will be happy to answer that for you afterwards. And thank you so much for spending your evening with us, and good luck. Keep it up. Keep striving, get creative, don't give up, and there's going to be opportunity in this time. You just have to be willing and open to look for it and to make the best of it. So thank you all so much. Have a good one.